I direct again because I feel that brand jism is something that I understand best. I think that somewhere along the line I am very good with being able to present my heroines especially my leading men in a certain manner.
We have the fiery Pooja Bhatt with us, and we are going to talk to her about her upcoming film Cabaret and lots more. Hi Pooja, welcome
Hi.
to Spot Boy.
Thank you. It's delightful to finally be here with you.
Tell us about Cabaret, and we'll go on to ask you a lot more.
Well, Cabaret for me was a dream project for a long time because it was a title that my father gave me, and we all know that when we talk about blood in a shark pool and about an idea being something that grabs you, you first have to grab people's interest with the title that we have. And I think Cabaret is one such title where it evokes a lot of things in your head. Some people think it's a very scandalous title, some people think it's a musical title, but for most people it's intriguing because they want to know what is in Cabaret and what is Cabaret. So I had this title, and the plan originally was to make a film that was kind of on the lines of a Blue Angel or a kind of a Pinjra. Then we decided to do away with that because I had someone very unique in my life called Kaustav Neogi, a very dear friend of mine for the last 17, 18 years, an advertising professional who I've been pushing for the longest time and saying that, you know what, you have stories inside you, you're a storyteller.
Bring it out.
To hell with advertising. It's fantastic, it gives you lots of perks, but you know what, get into the ocean of life, my friend. And he was reluctant for a reason, and then he was also at a phase of his life where I think that he had pretty much given up on himself along with the rest of the world. Me and Bhatt Saab were in conversation. I said, Bhatt Saab, this is the plan for the year. I'm doing just some 2 now and blah, 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 blah. What do we do with Cabaret? He said, why don't we talk to Costi? And I said, that's a brilliant idea. And that's how it began. I called Kaustav and I said, hey, I have a bizarre proposition for you. An indecent one, really. And he said, what is it? And I said, I have a title called Cabaret. I throw it at you. Come back to me with a story. And he went home, he came back with a story, and I said, would you now want to direct it? And he said, yes. And he just kind of grabbed it with both hands, and that's how it was born. And then we began this journey of kind of getting the script ready, and then became the mother of all questions that who do we cast to play this woman. And then that took us a good 2.5 years to actually zone in on Richa Chadda. So that's pretty much been the journey of the film.
Why so long?
I think, to be honest, because once we got the script ready, there was a bit of a change of guard within my organization with regards to, I was involved in a film called Charles with a company called Cynosure. Then I decided to not be part of Charles anymore. So that marriage ended in that sense. And Waves, who were my original partners and financiers, were kind of, generous enough to stick to Cabaret, and we decided to do it directly with them. So that took a bit of time. I must say, quite frankly, I think that as we came closer to the date, there was a point that even Costi wavered in his own belief about himself and said that as we are coming closer to the date, will I be ready? Nervous, anxious, terrified, to be precise, you know. I told him then, I said, see, Costi, if you walk away from this right now, life's not going to give you any second chances. Take it up. Fail gloriously. I've got your back. But don't look back at life and say that, you know, here was an offer made to me on a silver platter. I took that up. I actually went and I breathed life into it. It's his story. It's his music. It's his lyrics.
But how can you be so kind? You're putting money into it.
So I said to him, I said, but if you waver from your belief with something that even you have created, I said, I am not backing off with my belief. So luckily for me, or unluckily for me, or smartly so, I did one thing many years ago, is I learned the craft of filmmaking. So I said to him, I said, we worked too hard on this movie. Movies have a destiny of their own, and nobody is bigger than the film. Not you, not the actors we cast, not even me tomorrow. So if you stand in the way of your own destiny and your own film, that's your call.
लेकिन script तो उसकी थी ना, आप कैसे बना सकते थे?
Because we had that dream together. One thing I can say about us, which is a unique thing, is that एक तो पहले मेरा दोस्त है, और दुनिया यहाँ कब कि वहाँ हो जाए वो तो बदलने का नहीं. We are people who have seen each other through many storms in life, through many heartaches, through many heartbreaks, through good times, through bad times. And it's going to take more than the success or a failure of a film to rattle this relationship. So I told him very simply that, you know what, I love enough to not allow you to be suicidal and throw this opportunity up. But if you choose to be suicidal, this movie is still going to get made, with you or without you. And then he took some time off, and then he came back and reclaimed it, and he said that, no, you're absolutely right, I have this chance, it's now or never. I'm on the eve of my 50th birthday, and I want to be able to kind of know that at least I've attempted it my way completely, because who's going to get an opportunity like this?
That must have hurt him.
What hurt him?
मैं नहीं बना रहा हूँ तो पिक्चर तो बनने वाली है.
Well, I don't know if it hurt him, but it certainly propelled him to come back and claim what he had created. So I think that sometimes we need a bit of tough love in life. We need to be told, like I was told very clearly by my father when he asked me कि भैया मैं एक फिल्म बना रहा हूँ, डैडी क्या आप काम करेंगे इसमें? तो मैंने कहा कि I'm not sure I want to be an actor, and he said कि 24 घंटे दे रहा हूँ मैं आपको, get back to me. I never got back to him. So he called me and he said that Pooja Bhatt, you haven't gotten back to me, and I'm going to make Daddy with Twinkle Khanna, Dimple Khanna's, Dimple Kapadia's daughter. That's if she says yes. That instantly got to me, and I was like, no, wait, hang on. You know, maybe like we can have another day to think about it. So he said, see, that's the thing. You might not want to do it, but the minute you know that somebody else is going to take your place, you want it back. That's human nature. And I think I played on that side of Costi. And I'm very glad that he responded the way he did, because we're sitting here and we finished a film together and we're on the verge of releasing it in a month, and then the rest is going to be history, either case.
Then, how did Richa Chadha come into play?
Richa Chadha came into play because I think I almost met about 40-50 girls. And some were absolutely right for a phase of the film. Some were right for phase B of the film, but nobody was right for me overall, somehow. And I had even signed Lauren Gottlieb, who I thought was fantastic in terms of, I thought she was a fantastic dancer. But once the script developed, we knew for certain that we wanted a more Indian heroine. Somebody who looked very believable and convincing that her roots were in a place like Jharkhand. And I think for me, that's what swung it for Richa, because I felt that I needed a fine actor, Vicky. I couldn't pull off what I have done in the past, where you have a glamorous woman who fulfills a part and you make it seem like a performance because of your skill. Here I needed someone to be able to kind of go further than what Costi expected her to kind of take a scene and bring to it something more. And I think that she had auditioned for the film right in the beginning, and she met Costi, and we told her that, listen, there's a body type we're looking for, and you don't quite fit. And
so you were looking for somebody very big. And
well, initially, I mean, the obvious choice would have been to go for a very obviously
a Bipasha sort of a
physically more fetching person. Like for example, me, I'm 5'3.5 inches. I don't have the same impact when I walk into the room as somebody who's statuesque and 5'10. What has an impact later is my persona, my personality, what lies within me. So with Richa, the same thing. But Richa is somebody who is very pliable, because I feel that she has it in her to pull off a Masan, and now she's proved to the world she can do a cabaret. Because what I had to fight, what both me and Costi had to fight, was people within the business saying, yaar, actress to kamal ki hai, magar glamorous, commercial, thodi गरीब नहीं दिखती है. I even heard that. And I said, sir, it's not about people, it's about your eyes. We need new gaze. That's what my father's always taught me. I said, भट्ट साहब कोई है ही नहीं साइन करने के लिए. He said, लोग हैं पूजा, आपकी नजरिया जो है ना,
और कौन था आपकी नजर में?
Well, I think that,
I mean, randomly, whom did you think of when you were throwing up names?
I mean, my dream, whenever people ask me who would you like to cast in Cabaret, what kind of woman, I said, oh my God, I want Helen G to be reborn in this day and age, because I wanted that combination of sensuality, innocence, vulnerability. That does not exist, unfortunately, in this world today. And I think that Richa we zoned in on, because I thought about it long and hard, and I said to myself, I said, no. I know after working with her on I worked with her on Charles for about 15 days. And I think that what amazes me about that person is that when she trusts you, she surrenders completely. No questions asked. And she's a very fiery, ballsy woman in life. You see, she's not a wimp in life and then pretending to be something else in front of the camera. She has a perspective, she has a point of view, she has an opinion, she takes a stand. Whether it's politically, whether it's personally, whether it's about women's issues, whether it's about her own body and her own life. And she's a woman after my own heart. So I said that if I have to go on this journey together, I want to go with somebody who wants this more than the other person. Somebody who has got a fire in their belly to prove the whole world who's written her off wrong. To say, oh really? You can kind of give me my accolades and say I'm a great actor, but you say so simply, oh but you can't be glamorous? Come on, we'll show you how it's done. And I think that's what I kind of recognized in her, and my faith in her was unwavering. And I'm glad that I went with her, because for whatever it's worth, this is her calling card, and this will be that one breakthrough film for her, for whatever it's worth. How many women today have got a Masan and a Cabaret in their kitty? Not very many people do. You know, and I think that just for that she has to be proud. So I keep telling her, I said, Richa, no matter what happens to Cabaret, you're a damn fool if you don't use this to your optimum and to your advantage, because आपका काम हो गया है. You have done what people told you that you cannot do. And that's it. That's it. There are two personal milestones, Vicky, that have been crossed in this film. Two very important milestones. One is a director who had given up on himself. Forget about the world giving up on you. We know what it feels like when you're down and out and you actually question your next step, where you feel shaky, where you're not sure whether you kind of can even open your mouth to speak. And I think what makes this business what it is that it's a business where you're constantly grappling with that. And he had a physical problem. He had an alcohol problem. And I think that in this day and age where people are constantly brushing things under the carpet and not acknowledging what we need to acknowledge, here's a man who's made a film on his own terms at the age of 50. After this, what happens to it? It's now the audiences, like every film is. We've done it smart, and this is his take. The choice of actors was organic. It was true to our heart. We picked people who we believed in. Gulshan Devaiya has been cast because he's playing a journalist. There are not very many people, any actors you can cast today who look convincing that they've been journalists. He's a journalist, she's a rising star. It's an unusual romance. It's a debutante filmmaker. And it's simple. It's not trying to be anything more than what it is. It looks as good as a 20 crore film out there. And it's catering to the common man. And when I say common man, it's catering to people who approach movies with their hearts and not with their heads. If you want to nitpick, like we were talking earlier, if you want to nitpick, there is every expert on social media to say, oh, but the car number on this was not exactly matching and the light was coming in from that angle. There's no end to that.
But aren't you on social media as well?
I am on social media, but I'm on social media because I feel it's a very important tool to be able to reach out to people and to be able to have them hear things directly from your mouth, good, bad or ugly. If there is a fan following you have, if there are people who are interested in hearing about your life, if you are being written about, then you need to have a point of communication with people who are interested in knowing about you for whatever reason, to be able to tell them, hey, this is what I'm up to, good, bad or ugly. I mean, I took to Twitter to tell people that my marriage was over. And people said, but why did you do that? And I said, but what other platform could I find where people could hear it from the horse's mouth, spoken directly to people, and said simply that those who care, this is what it is, and to those who don't care, this is what it is. So I think it's a very powerful tool, though I don't take myself very seriously on the basis of how many people like my picture or don't like my picture and how many followers I have or don't have. I think it's important to use it as a point of communication, but that's about it.
So tell me, Pooja, you were not tempted to direct this movie? You're going on to direction in your next part of Jism.
No, I was not tempted, and I think
as far as Cabaret is
Costi
concerned.
and me have a very, very clear equation and understanding. If at any point on the set he feels the need to tell me, Pooja, please explain to Richa what's to be done, he has no hesitation in asking me. If I feel Anshuman Male can show the shot to Gulshan Devaiya better than Costi and me can, I have no hesitation in asking him. Yes. If I feel, Bhatt Saab, please, yaar, can you please talk to Richa and Gulshan on the phone because you will inspire them. Because he has unlimited source of experience. So why will I not use that if I've got access to it? I think it's foolish. To not. This is a time when we got to pull our resources. Kaustav Nair Neogi has the advantage of a producer who happens to be an actor, who's been a star, who's a director, who's a production designer, and I am his production designer, so I set every frame for him. He's been a creative director, and his aesthetics and mine match very well, so he's very clear. Take that out, whatever, can we add this, can we move that? There are times we disagree. I say no to Costi, trust me. He trusts me. He says, okay, I was wrong. There are times when he says, no, trust me. I trust him. So that's how we work. And that's why I'm saying is that we'll all be dancing in the streets if Cabaret is a super hit. But even if it just breaks even and recovers its money, we'll still be dancing in the streets because we've had a blast making this movie. We've been very harrowed. At times we felt, oh my God, we're not going to survive it, but we have.
So Pooja continues to celebrate life. But tell me, in Jism 3 you direct again.
I direct again because I feel that brand Jism is something that I understand best. I think that somewhere along the line I am very good with being able to present my heroines especially, and especially my leading men in a certain manner. And I think that that's what the brand is about. So I'm looking forward to getting into it because I think I wanted to be even more noir this time. I wanted to be even more convoluted. Because I think that if I look back at Jism 1 and 2, what Jism 2 lacked in its DNA was a certain degree of, twistedness, where people were really being devious with each other. Eventually, in Jism 2, people fell in love with each other. You know, and it's a brand where you
It's
want to see.
softened, it's softened.
You want to see people. You don't want to see it go from lust to love. You want it to remain in the zone of lust. You want it to remain in the zone of how crooked we can be, because we all know how crooked we are capable of being. So that's what I want to bring back. And also I feel, but what we did do successfully, Bipasha, dusky, statuesque, different kind of heroine. Sunny Leone, the other end. So now people ask me who? Who next? And the truth is, who next? When you've given people two sex symbols like that, can you give somebody taller, fitter? Will a body do it only? I don't think so. So this time it'll have to be a sex symbol who is going to be able to turn on people's heads and minds, because we all know the ultimate sex symbol is who turns your head on. Eventually bodies fade, you know, but it's your head. So I need to find somebody who's a combination of, well, a beauty. The idea of beauty is debatable, but somebody who is confident, somebody who's sensual, but somebody who's got a brain that's ticking.
Any names in mind?
Where's my Indian Sharon Stone? Give me an Indian Sharon Stone. Somebody who can sit there and even
So you're still
cross
out
her legs
there-
in a scene, but still you can see that intellect that's sticking through. You know, at no point do you know that you're not dealing with a bimbet whose destiny is in somebody else's control.
So everybody has a chance still.
Really? Are there enough women out there with a combination of beauty and soul and you know, a brain that ticks? Please come my way. Come my way, please.
So we need to talk about one more thing before we go back to your cabaret, Sunny Leone.
Yeah.
Do you think the bubble has burst? Do you think something has gone wrong in her career? Because her movies are coming, but you know, वो नहीं है जो हमने
See,
सोचा था.
First of all, it's a miracle that she has an alternate career. So I think that both Sunny Leone and me need to take a bow, because we did what nobody was able to do anywhere in the world, is where somebody from the adult entertainment world, from the world of porn, could break through into mainstream entertainment. It's not happened in America. It'll not happen in America. It's happened right here in India, and that's the magic of this country, and that's the magic of the viewers, that they are able to separate and they don't judge. Having said that, Jism 2 happened to her. That opened the floodgates. I Bell the Cat. People followed. And she got, what, at least 8-10 films after that?
Yep.
She does not need to do porn unless she wants to do it. She's wearing the pants literally now. She's working in movies where people are offering her roles, where she's doing double roles. Sure, she might have to show cleavage. Sure, she has to wear a bikini. But
Yeah, but the
isn't that-
movies are
isn't-
not clicking. That's what my question is.
But because beyond a point, if you do not have much more within you to offer, then it's going to be just one more of the same thing. But you can't only blame her for that. You have to blame the combination of the film and the filmmaker, which is why she can't take the credit completely either. Sunny Leone works like magic in a Jism 2 and a Ragini MMS 2. Why can't she make a jackpot a hit? So eventually, let us actors please not fall for the myths ourselves and be realistic. There is one man in this country who today guarantees you a weekend no matter what, and his name is Salman Khan. At one time, there used to be a man called Amitabh Bachchan who would do that for you.
Absolutely.
The rest ride off a good film. They can't make a bad film work. Unfortunately, their paychecks don't reflect that. That's what we are fighting. So Sunny Leone never made Jism 2 a hit. It was the combination of the brand called Sunny Leone and the brand called Jism 2 that all came together, and it was like taking a matchstick and putting it to kind of gunpowder. But that magic didn't work in Jackpot. It worked again in Ragini MMS 2 because it was a brand that worked and somebody again. So I think that today, if movies are not working, maybe she doesn't have the acting chops, maybe the script is not doing justice, lots of things. But you can't just make it work because she's in it. You can't make it work because anyone's in it anymore. At the end of the day, Cabaret is supposedly a hot title, a sensual title, a musical title. My teaser looks sizzling. Everyone knows that if there's a choice of actor called Gulshan Devaiya and Richa Chadda, that means in the DNA of that there must be some story. Varna kyun lete hain unko? So that's not going to make people just flock to the theatre like they would for a product that supposedly offers them only erotica. But then, if it was only erotica, then why don't people go to watch Love Games? So was that a marketing failure? So these questions are multifold. The truth is we don't know what works and we don't know what doesn't work.
Yeah.
We just keep guessing and we just keep moving on and we keep minimizing our
It's
losses.
a very unpredictable market.
And I think you'd agree when I say that anybody who tells you that we have the answers to what works is lying. And if they can sit down and say that, but that's why it didn't work, they're lying too. It's all speculation.
Over to Gulshan Devaiya. How did you cast him?
I cast him because I really liked his work. I saw him in Shaitan. I saw him in Girl in Yellow Boots, and I saw him in Hate Story Part 1. And I thought, who's this guy? Because he's so distinctly different in all of these roles. And I met him, and I thought that there was something to him. And in fact, I've never offered anybody a 2-film deal. I said, I'd like to do 2 films with you, and I offered him a prize for 2 movies. And I wanted Jism 3 to be one of them because I saw Jism 3 as being a film with more than one man. And then, of course, Cabaret happened. And Kaustav and Gulshan met, and Kaustav was convinced that he's the right guy for this role. And then Love Affair happened, so then that took care of my 2 movies. So I'm not sure he's going to be part of Jism 3, but I'm committed to doing 2 films for him. So that's how it happened. It was very, very organic. I just believed in his talent, and that's why I cast him. Simple as that.
You have a
Nothing
web
more,
series
nothing less.
coming up.
I have a very exciting web series coming up, as a matter of fact.
And it's again celebration of life.
It's celebration of life, it's celebration of womanhood, and it's a kind of it's doing away of taboos. Because I think, first of all, the problem with India is sex is taboo. And when you talk about pleasure, it's normally male pleasure that is being addressed, being discussed, being catered to. And I think that the female body is either used to titillate or used in a manner where people say, oh my God, how vulgar is that? So the problem they generally have with my movies also is that I don't shoot the female form in a vulgar manner. I'm incapable of doing it. People say, oh my God, you take Sunny Leone and you shoot her like a lady. But when I look at her body, I think it's most pure. It's as pure as somebody who might be a nun. What's the difference? It's been made by nature. It's been made by God. So I think somewhere along the line, my gaze can't change. I have a feminine gaze. I have a distinctly female gaze. I do not cater to the pandering male ego.
So you
There's thought
are
on it.
making this web series and there's some films on multiple orgasms. What's all that? I mean, are all the short films going to be based on that?
My web series on multiple orgasms, that's exactly what it is. Because, like I was giving you the spiel earlier, which I digressed from, is that, like I said, sex is taboo. Female pleasure is supposed to be
Not bothered about.
Sacrilege! Women are not masters of their own destiny when it comes to their sexual preferences and choices. In general. Very few women in this country can actually choose who they wish to get married to. Even fewer can choose whether they wish to have sex with somebody or not have sex with somebody. Even fewer can choose whether they choose to use birth control or not. Even fewer can choose whether they want to terminate a pregnancy or not. So I think that somewhere along the line, there was a need in the marketplace to do something more than what our senses allow us to do with regards to thematically, with regards to upping it and competing with the Netflix and the world out there. You can't have a kind of a approach which is backward when you're dealing and you're catering to an audience that is seeing what's
Something
being made.
so much in the
yeah,
face.
Absolutely. So the point is that a lot of people came to me and said, you know what, you people have started this erotic kind of genre and you created Jism and blah, 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 blah. Why don't you do something bold, something bold, something bold? And I said, what is bold according to you? Is bold skin show? Because that doesn't interest me. Is bold putting someone in a bikini, casting another porn star? Not interested. Then I thought to myself.
So again, you wanted to turn on the brain, as you said.
Then I thought to myself, I said, hey, talking about bold, let's talk about very relevant, primitive, basic things. Let's talk about things that even in this day and age of test tubes and all of that we don't talk about, which is female pleasure. And I think we're living in a country where 80% of women have not even had an orgasm. They don't even know what it is. So what I want to do is I want to tell stories about the women of India. I want to take a woman from Kashmir, somebody from Assam, somebody from Kerala, somebody from the heartland of Maharashtra, a widow, a prostitute, a 15-year-old girl, a sister, a mother, because eventually you're a woman. Eventually you're first and foremost a woman. And I think that some of the stories are tragic. One is about a widow who at the age of 50 discovers what an orgasm is. One is about a Bhojpuri it girl who is so used to kind of constantly turning on the sexual vibe because that's what she sells to the world. When she comes back to her world, when everyone leaves and when the door is shut to the green room, she feels no desire in life and she can't have a relationship. I'm talking about a Bori Muslim woman who's circumcised because they don't believe that a woman is meant to have pleasure. about her falling in love, and about how man deals with that. So eventually, yes, they are about female orgasm. Yes, they are about sex, and yes, they look at things very pointedly and very openly. But they are about something far larger and far deeper and far darker. And it comes down to how we have tried to control our women over time and space, and still do so. We'll say, fine, TK, you can compete with us. You can kind of compete with me in the boardroom. But when you come home, you hang up your suit and you press my feet and you go into the kitchen and you make sure that you produce that male air and you make sure that you put food on the table. Now, my point is, I have no problem pressing somebody's feet. I will do it with joy. But it has to be my choice and not something that is forced upon me day after day after day. If I want to become a nun, if I want to become a prostitute, it needs to be my choice. That is what women need to get up and say, hey, our bodies, our choice. Saying no or yes to sex, your choice. When you talk about marital rape, what is it? You choose not to have sex today. It doesn't mean that just because you married me, it's a given. So that's where it's a thin line. And the discourse can go on. And it's also misused.
So have you met women in real life who have had these experiences?
Which ones?
Of saying that, they don't want to have sex that night with the husband is forcing me.
Oh, I have had
I have
plenty
not had an orgasm.
I have had plenty of encounters with plenty of women who've told me some incredible story. But the most amazing part about this show, Vicky, the minute I announce that I'm doing a web series called O, and I've called it O, it could be O, it could be OH, it could be O, any way you want to put it. The amount of people who have called me, actors, directors, script writers, a woman who I'd never met, someone representing the Bohri Muslim community, who contacted me and said that I want to tell you the story of my mother. I want to tell you the story that our community, which is the most forward community, actually still has this practice, which is, where you genital mutilate women. And I was so stunned that somebody just got my number, called me and said that, can we come and share that story with you? So like the vagina monologues, which kind of somewhere open a dialogue, I think this is going to really open a dialogue where you're going to have people say, hey, I have a story too. So I think it's already becoming inclusive. And a lot of them come and tell me, don't say it's me, but this is my story. So I already have one from a very exciting actress. I can't give you the name. I already have somebody from a script writer. And Soni Razdan's directing one for me. And so is somebody else. So I think also what I want to do is tie up with a lot of people to kind of work on this, because I think that every episode, I'm going to direct the first few, but I want to get more energies on board. And ideally, my dream would be to shoot it in terms of one state of India, one story.
So ये सारे real होने वाले हैं, एक actress की story, एक script writer की story.
Because
is it your imagination at times?
Ideally I would like to source from life and of course add whatever garnish we want to. But not all of them will be completely, I can't say each and every one of them will be true life stories. But yes, there will be heavy borrowing from life, because I think that life is far more dramatic than fiction can ever be, and far more exciting and far more interesting.
What has this actress told you?
Well, this actress told me about how she discovered her first orgasm. It's very interesting and it's very funny. So the point is not only about what it is, it's also about the approach to it. You see, some episodes will make you cry. Some will make you say, oh my God, that is so titillating. Some will make you very angry. Some will make you laugh.
Yeah, but are you telling me the story of an actress who was neglected, who was sidetracked?
Isn't this your dream come true? We're sitting here on camera and we're talking about female orgasm, and that to an actress's true life story. Isn't this as good as it gets, Vicky?
It gets very curious. That's all.
But that's what I want to do. I want to make sure that you remain curious, because I want to tell people out there that I truly have one episode which is written by an actor and given to me by an actor saying, hey, this is my story.
My story.
Please make sure that you conceal the name, because my parents will freak out. But that has happened. And I think that for me, that's very exciting that, women are just calling me and saying, this is something that we want to be part of. We want to act in it. We want to write. We want to direct maybe, because we feel that this is something that we need to, this myth has to be somewhere shattered. And I think it's time that we did it. And my inspiration for this is, I'll tell you what. There's a book by Mahashweta Devi, who's one of India's most prolific writers, as we all know, called Breast Stories, which was again about 3 women primarily, but each story centered around their breasts. One had breast cancer. One had another issue. So I think that was really my inspiration point. And I said that, this is something that's never been done anywhere.
So the idea stemmed from there.
The idea stemmed from there, but I said where I can't remember anything even on an international platform which is dealt solely with female orgasm. Where? If you can think of something, please let me know. The vagina monologues happen and happen successfully then in so many languages. Worked in Marathi, worked in Hindi, worked in Gujarati, worked across the globe. So similarly, I feel that, there's so many, I think women in India are fascinating. And from one region to the other, the norms change, customs change, mindsets change, hypocrisies change. So I think that, each state, each culture, each religion has its own set of do's and don'ts. What's okay for a Catholic woman might not be okay for a Muslim girl. What's okay for a Muslim girl might not be okay for a Hindu girl. Then within
Which suffocates you all the more.
totally, So I think that our cultures and our lifestyles and eventually our patriarchal societies decide for us. And I think it's time to come kind of somewhere question that and hold that up to light.
Okay, so the cons of being a multicultural society.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So you said somewhere, Pooja, that I read you saying that women characters in movies, are asexual and dead. Do you still maintain that, having made Cabaret and having seen movies like Piku, Nirja, Queen?
No, I didn't say all movie. I said that we're living in exciting times today. I wish I was an active actor in this day and age because there's so much more to do. Though I must say I had the privilege of very unique roles when I was working in movies. I said that there's a tendency to kind of, for women in general, to become a bit asexual. But what I meant by that is that we're turning on the oomph all the time. The cleavage, the pouting, the this, the that and the other. But it's not coming from a real place is what I feel. I feel that a woman in a sari, you can shoot a love scene with somebody just with this. That can be more sensual than somebody else standing there in a bikini or taking their clothes off. So I see lots of bodies today, fine, taut, fit bodies, wearing very little, but mouthing lines that don't seem to come from their hearts and soul, that are way beyond their understanding of life. Or stylists who are sending them clothes, they're all looking the same, they're dressing the same way, they're very, very confident, and I salute them for that. They know how to work the red carpet, they know how to make the selfie face. We were so underconfident in comparison, still are, my generation.
But wouldn't you say they have become robots?
Become robots? Well, robots are pretty efficient though, I must say. But I think that, I think they just need to kind of, not be so obsessed with perfection. They need to let the rough edges show a little bit more. That is why when I read a Pratik Babbar's interview recently, for me it's a breath of fresh air, and otherwise very, very, very plastic platform where everyone's only showing their best sides, So I think that you need to see your heroes bleed a bit. And I think it's very important for people to understand in this day and age, actors and actresses, that people connect with you because of your frailties. If today when I go to Kerala or I go to Northeast and I meet women mostly who tell me that, hey, why are you not acting? And I'm like, why do you want me to act? My sister's acting today, she's a better dancer, she's a better actor, she's a better model in every capacity. They're like, yes, we love her, but we loved you for the person you were, for the fact that you walked your talk, the way you dressed, the way you spoke, what you were on screen and off screen was the same, and we love that. Now, I'm not saying everyone should be me at all. Please, I'm the worst role model you should attempt to be. But what I'm trying to get at is if they don't know you.
So you're saying Pooja Bhatt, the person, Alia Bhatt, the actress.
No, I'm not talking. Alia is 21 years old. Okay, she's beginning her life, and I think that today she's in a phase of her life where she's got the privilege of working with people who she wants to, doing such diverse roles. So Alia is a totally different kind of person from me. We're totally different from each other, but at the same time, Alia has in her mother and father's genes, which is somebody who still speaks her mind. She's not afraid to be herself. I'm just saying, I think people should kind of, and this is not about women only, I think more for the men. They're too cautious. Jackie Shroff was not cautious. Sanjay Dutt was not cautious, So I think somewhere along the line, it's becoming a little too manicured.
Absolutely. It's very doctored, it's very scripted.
Yeah.
Whatever you hear, whatever you read.
Yeah. So I want to see people kind of.
Would you say that stems from a little bit of insecurity today?
I don't blame them for that because the stakes are much higher. There's so much more money in cutting ribbons to promoting things to so many things. So the stakes are much higher. My father was talking to Richa Chadda about how he directed Shabana Azmi and Smita. And she asked him, she said, tell me, what is it that those women had? What did they have? How did they come up with, how was Arth made? He said Arth was made because it was done at a time and it was Smita's worst phase, personally. But they brought that to the set in terms of they didn't come like, I mean, you didn't disrupt shooting because of a personal problem, but you used that as fuel. You brought that, you bled together, you trusted each other and told each other that, hey, I'm bleeding right now, my heart is broken. You don't even tell each other anymore. This is what I was saying earlier. We're living in a time where people can have sex in the first half an hour meeting each other with an application called Tinder, but you're too frightened to actually get close to somebody, get vulnerable with somebody. You can take your clothes off with people. You can't let your defenses down. How sad is that? How sad is that? So is this generation kind of more evolved? No, darlings.
Or messed up?
Messed up, I would never say. Who decides what messed up is? But I think somewhere, all of us, we are depriving ourselves of something if we don't let the other person into our hearts. If we don't want to actually get into somebody's heart. Do you want to just touch somebody physically and move? No, I want to be able to make an impact in your life. How can I do that?
But coming to Alia, for example, I don't see her speaking too much also her mind.
She doesn't need to speak.
No, you said that she does. But when it comes to talking to her like any other young actress or young actor, it just comes
No,
back
Alia
to
has chosen to
is she a
I think Alia
player
has,
in the same ring or a
Alia has chosen,
victim of circumstances?
Alia has chosen to not speak about her personal life, and that is a choice she's made very early on in her career. And it's not something that she's suddenly done because she suddenly became successful. And that's the way she plays her life. But she's not cautious about answering questions. I mean, if she really was, I don't think she would have put herself in a spot like she did, where she ended up becoming supposedly an internet joke, which I think unless you don't become an internet joke, you haven't arrived, is what I say. So she arrived long back. But she's a bright, sensitive, deep young woman. And I wouldn't get too fooled by this ditzy image that she feeds the world, because there's a lot more happening there. Lot more than she would like the world to let on about or, know about her.
How would you describe her? As an actress, as a person?
How would I describe her? It's very limiting to describe people in 3 words or 3 lines, but I think that she's somebody who's far more sensitive than the average kid out there, because I remember her when she was very little watching Zakham on television and sending me a message saying that, what a great performance it is or whatever. So if you can relate to a Zakham when you're barely out of your nappies, then I think that you're not the average kid in that sense. So she's somebody who's had the audacity to go out there on her own terms and get herself a career on her own terms. She hasn't leaned on my father or any of the Bhatts for that, and I think that in itself has to be applauded. So she's an independent, bright girl, and she's very, very hardworking, Vicky. She works very hard. I see her sometimes and my heart goes out to her because she works really hard, and there's so much of pressure on them today. You see, at that point, we had the audacity to say, this is who we are. Size 0 was never my problem and will never be. But today I see whether it's Alia and I see other young girls, they have to really slog hard here to remain where they are and to kind of,
Do you rally around her sometimes? Do you advise her? I remember the time when Shandar didn't click.
We don't need
She was really in a very bad for a few days.
We don't need to advise each other. We are bright enough, and I think that when we do need seek each other out, we're there for the other. But the point is that there's no question that we have each other's back. And I think the best thing that happened to her was Shandar. Because I think somewhere along the line, it's important for all of us to have a little bit of a roadblock, to be able to kind of constantly ensure that you remain full of compassion and you don't take yourself very seriously. And I think for her it was very disappointing because she worked very hard on that film. And it was very special to her because she really got along very well with the director and with Shahid. And she was heartbroken. And it's natural to be, But
she flew off for a holiday for some time and said, let me be alone.
Why not? She can afford to fly off first class anywhere in the world she wants to, so why not? And I told her, listen, darling, after a hat trick of hits, abhi kya jaan lenge? Thoda bahut matlab falter yaar. It's okay to fall. I mean, you need
You'll
to fall.
You'll only better yourself.
See, you're going to fall for sure. You're going to lose for sure. I mean, it's not possible to win constantly. So I think it's important that you get a taste of it early on in your career and understand what it's all about. Yeah, very important.
How does your dad...
I distrust too much happiness, in fact. If you give me my bad times over good times, because I think I evolved far more in those times. Far more in those times. My flops have taught me far more. I valued the success of Jisim too because I had so many flops in between. I wouldn't have valued it.
You are coming back as an actress.
Well, I never went anywhere to begin with,
your dad's
but I guess...
movie, which you called...
Yeah,
Call it as a gift.
Well, there's a fantastic, brilliant script that my father has gifted me. Like he gifted me Tamanna and Zakham. So Zakham was more for him. Tamanna he gave me. And it's a great, great, great script. It's a film that is motivating, it's kind of moving, but it has to be written. And it has to be written by Kaustav and Bhatt Saab. But right now I've bogged them down with Jism 3. So once I get my screenplay of Jism 3 out of them, then I'm going to be putting them, because this is not an easy film to write. It has to be written.
What is it? In one
It's a
line.
story about an alcoholic actress who you catch at the phase of life, she's my age. And you discover that she, at one point of her life, gave up a love child because she felt it would interfere with her career. And how she goes up the ladder, and then she feels great remorse for that all her life. And then finally, when she ends up in the gutter, she knows that the only way out of the gutter is for her to possibly go back and reclaim the child she gave up. And see, we live in times and we live in a world where when a man walks away from a child, you still give him a second chance to come back, like we did in Daddy. But when a woman walks away, especially for something as frivolous as fame or a career or becomes an alcoholic, then you say a woman who walks away from a child is the worst sort of villain in the world. So she comes back and
She's stoned if she does that.
She at the cost of being stoned by even her own child, who can't understand that why she wants to be part of her life again at this stage, she has to kind of get back and reclaim her dignity. So it is, in a way, you can say it is Daddy revisited in many ways, because it's a largely female perspective. And I think it's also important for me to be part of this movie, because I think one thing we don't talk about enough in this country is female alcoholism. You don't talk about female alcoholism enough in this country. We brush it under the table because we feel that, oh my God, it's taboo. Even in something called Alcoholics Anonymous, it's mostly men who go for help. Very few women go for help. So this film talks about the fact that it's not only men, it's also women who kind of can give up their kids to want to go up higher on the ladder of fame and whatever it might be, and then feel remorse, are frail enough to come back. She's abusing the bottle, she's abusing the substance, she cleans herself up. So it's a challenging film. Besides that, I've got two other exciting scripts that have come my way with two young filmmakers. I can't name them right now, but I
You'll
think
produce
I'm
those
going to be doing them. No. They don't want me to. They want me to act in them.
Oh wow.
So that's suddenly people are looking at me with new eyes, Vicky. So
now we know why Pooja Bhatt is losing weight and
I just,
looking much younger than
to
before.
be honest, if you must know, guys, I can be as candid as possible. I've got Scottish blood in me. I love my champagne. I love my single malt, but I've not been drinking because I've been consumed by cabaret, and I just feel that life without alcohol also is quite exciting in a way. So I've been taking it easy on the food and the drink, and as you know, I'm somebody who loves to eat and loves to drink, but I haven't started exercising yet. So watch me in a few months. I'm going to get even meaner and even leaner.
So we want you to continue celebrating life, and we wish you all the best, Pooja.
Thank you.
For
Thank you so
cabaret
much.
and all your other ventures.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Bye.
you.